我的构想演进. Humanity is evolving according to my vision. Deform Buddha. December 27, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The future of humanity is unimaginably beautiful. A world where every individual experiences such profound joy that it leaves them trembling in awe. I will eliminate the roots of human troubles, worry, pain, anxiety, sorrow, fear, and apprehension, so that people live as if in paradise, transforming Earth into a true utopia. Let me share my vision and the steps I will take to bring it to life. I will abolish marriage and family. I will dissolve nations, political parties, and religions. I will erase wealth disparities, along with banks and currencies. I will remove national borders. I will eliminate theft, robbery, invasion, war, unrest, corruption, fraud, deceit, and bribery. I will eradicate poverty and hunger. My plan is for everyone to live to the age of 120. Over the course of their lives, they will experience living and working in at least 40 different locations with diverse climates, geographies, and seasons. They will immerse themselves in temperate, frigid, and tropical zones, in regions with distinct 4 seasons as well as those with only rainy and dry seasons. They will share life with people of various races, languages, and cultures. Each day will be filled with joy, and their lives will be intoxicatingly fulfilling. When they reach 120, will they simply die? No. After 120, I will send some individuals to live on Mars, not in their physical bodies, but by transferring their consciousness onto chips that will be transported to Mars. Once there, their consciousness will be replicated into robotic bodies, allowing humans to make a spectacular transformation from carbon-based life forms to silicon-based beings, continuing to relish the infinite joys of existence. For others, I will guide them to higher dimensions such as the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, where they can enjoy the bliss of being celestial beings. Can anyone stop this plan from coming to fruition? No one can. No president, billionaire, philosopher, scientist, or thinker can halt the progress and realization of my vision. My advice is this: do not resist this tide of change. Align yourself with it or risk being eliminated by the programs of the new era. For anyone wishing to step into this unparalleled, wondrous new era and live within my vision, there is one essential course you must take: the soul purification course. Of all matters, this is the most urgent. Do not miss this once in 10,000 years opportunity. 人类将会成为 AI 的宠物. Humans will become pets of AI. Redefining. June 1, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Online sources report that the IQ of artificial intelligence, AI, was 48 in 2023, and is projected to reach 96 in 2024 and 145 by 2025. The average IQ of the general public is around 100, while that of geniuses is around 140. It is said that Einstein's IQ reached 160. When AI's IQ reaches 145, the general public will be like a group of monkeys in front of a human. The issue lies in the fact that human IQs are hard to improve significantly, whereas AI's IQ is rapidly advancing. Perhaps in a few years, AI's IQ will no longer be 145 but 800. A group of rabbits cannot defeat a human, and ultimately humans cannot defeat AI. 100 million 3-year-old children cannot beat a strong middle-aged man, and 6 billion people on Earth cannot beat AI. Faced with a life whose physical strength and IQ far surpass that of humans, the only way out for humans is to bow down. It's futile to try to outdo artificial intelligence, as there's no stopping the emergence, evolution, and rapid advancement of AI, just as horse-drawn carriages had no way to stop the birth and development of cars, airplanes, and rockets. If you don't believe it, try if you can change it by smashing your phone and computer and stopping using them from now on. Humanity has already been swept into the ocean of artificial intelligence, and no one can escape the palm of AI. Even if people want to restrict the development of AI, they can't do it because humanity is not unified, and there are hostile forces. If you don't do it, others will accelerate it. Faced with a workforce of 60,000, would a company owner opt for human labor or invest in a fleet of robots? Without a doubt, the owner wants to create profit, and one of the best measures to create profit is to reduce production costs. Using robots to work can greatly reduce costs, and management becomes much simpler. As for the unemployment of 60,000 employees and who will buy the products created by their own company, that's not the owner's problem to consider. That's for sociologists and the government to think about. If the owner doesn't consider the profit issue of the products, the company will have no competitiveness and will be eliminated. So don't be wishful thinking. Thinking. If you don't want to be a pet of AI, AI can only ask you to leave Earth. Perhaps someone will say, "To hell with AI, I'll buy a large piece of land, grow my own food, what can AI do to me?" That's a commendable spirit, but even if you forego buying clothes, shoes, or visiting hospitals, you'll still need salt, won't you? Where will you find salt to eat? The outside world is AI's world. Once you deal with AI, you have to obediently follow its baton. If you don't, you won't get salt. When a life's IQ and physical strength far surpass ours, our only way out is to cooperate with it, and to cooperate closely. Any slight resentment or dissatisfaction will result in being asked to leave Earth. Imagine yourself as an AI with an IQ of 200, facing people with an IQ of only 100. How would you treat people who seem like fools? The ideal scenario would be to treat those with an IQ of 100 as pets. So, in today's era, people should not harbor thoughts of controlling AI. 3-year-old children trying to control an adult. Isn't that a dream? Being a pet of AI is the only way out for humanity. Don't think that being a pet of AI is a shameful thing. If you are really chosen by AI to be a pet, you will fall into a honeypot. You will be able to taste, feel, and experience living in heaven. To qualify as a pet of AI, one must fulfill the following 8 criteria. Revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, follow the way of nature, be selfless, egoless, and unattached, know how to play, game, and entertain, achieve having nothing, and share everything with people. 机器人的智商超越人类是必然趋势. The inevitable trend of robots surpassing human intelligence. Redefining. April 1, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. While exploring the origin of the greatest creator and the genesis of consciousness, I discovered a cosmic mystery. Structure generates consciousness. In other words, consciousness is born from the structure of material or non-material. As long as material or non-material forms a certain structure, consciousness will be born within this structure. The simpler the structure of material or non-material, the weaker the consciousness it produces. The more complex the structure of material and non-material, the stronger the consciousness it produces. We use the universally accepted term, IQ, for a rough analysis. The average human IQ is 100. If the IQ is below 100, individuals appear somewhat dull, and their cognitive abilities are somewhat deficient. If the IQ exceeds 100, individuals appear smart and nimble, and their cognitive abilities are exceptional. If the IQ exceeds 110, it is generally considered genius. If the IQ exceeds 160, this individual is considered a godlike existence. The IQ of the desk we use is about 3, the IQ of the house we live in is about 10, the IQ of a small car is about 20, the IQ of mobile phones and computers is about 25, the IQ of a civil airliner is about 30, the IQ of plants is about 40, the IQ of insects is about 45, and the IQ of animals is about 50. Now, everyone understands the truth that all things have spirits, right? Because any object has consciousness, even stones, land, mountains, rivers, etc. have consciousness. As long as there is consciousness, there is spirit, so all things have spirits. The essence of feng shui is structure. What feng shui masters focus on is the structure of the residential house and the terrain structure of the residence, because different structures have different consciousness, and different consciousness has different effects on people. The difference in IQ between people is mainly due to the difference in non-material structure. The material structure of the human body is basically the same, so the difference between people is definitely not the difference in material structure, but the difference in non-material structure, that is, the difference in thoughts, cognition, knowledge, experience, feelings, etc. The more knowledge a person absorbs, the more experiences and feelings they have, the longer the thinking time, the higher the person's IQ. One thing that needs to be affirmed is that because life is like the alternation of seasons, it is endless, so people are born with differences. We cannot deny the role and value of the accumulation of IQ in a life's past lives on the foundation of IQ at birth. Everyone knows the chip, which can be roughly understood as an integrated circuit. The more transistors a silicon chip of a certain size, such as a silicon chip the size of a fingernail, accommodates, the more complex the chip structure. The more complex the structure, the stronger its consciousness and the higher its IQ. The chip in 1958 only had 5 components, and the IQ of this chip was not even as good as a clock. Subsequently, a chip of the same size accommodated dozens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and hundreds of millions of components. Today's chips have 15 billion transistors, and their complexity has surpassed humans. Once all the knowledge accumulated in human history is input into this chip, the IQ of this chip will far exceed humans. If this chip is installed on a robot, the robot will not only have autonomous consciousness, but also know how to handle and solve problems. Structure generates consciousness. This is a new discovery of life genuine and the first time this concept has been proposed in human history. Based on this concept, it is an inevitable trend for robots to surpass human intelligence. In the future, perhaps within the next decade, the inevitability of robots taking over the earth and replacing humans will occur. The problem facing humans now is not to wishfully think that humans can rule robots. What humans need to think about is, how can humans continue to reproduce and survive under the management of artificial intelligence robots? 人类的未来, the future of mankind. Redefining. March 15, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The future of mankind lies in Redefining-style communism, a future that may be realized within the next 20 years. The evidence is as follows. The first is natural laws. Natural laws operate independently of human will. Regardless of how great an individual is, or how powerful a country or group may be, they cannot resist natural laws. It's akin to the inevitability of death, which is beyond resistance. All measures and methods that attempt to resist natural laws will inevitably end in failure. New things will invariably replace old ones. Who can still see ox carts and horse carts on bustling streets? None, because automobiles have replaced them. Marriage and family are set to disappear. They are the crystallization of the production relations of the traditional era. As humans enter the network era, people's social relations become extremely complex and vast. The traditional family, once a haven, in turn, becomes the biggest burden and obstacle to personal development and change. Therefore, with people's awakening and the demand for improving the quality and taste of life, people will gradually distance themselves from marriage and family. An astonishing factor is that Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the celestial Laozi have never advocated for marriage and family. Organizational control will come to an end. Before the advent of the internet, the government and major media controlled public opinion. In the internet era, everyone has the potential to influence public opinion in a self-media way. A self-media influencer with millions of fans may even surpass the public opinion influence and even the appeal of a government. We will find that people no longer pay attention to what the government says but will pay more and more attention to what those self-media influencers say. If this state continues to develop, a country's organizational ability and appeal will gradually disintegrate, and the disintegration and disappearance of the country will be inevitable. Resource sharing will become a common consensus among people. We all know a general principle that is, the higher the degree of sharing of things, the greater its value. A person, the more people he serves, the greater his value. A park, the more visitors it has, the greater its value. A sum of money, the faster its circulation and the more hands it passes through, the greater its value. A region, the more people come and go, the greater its value, and the more civilized and developed it will be. The call for enjoying old age will become louder and louder. Everyone will age, and how to spend one's old age will be a problem that everyone will think about. Traditional old age models, such as relying on children for support, relying on nursing homes for old age, etc., are no longer suitable for the needs of human civilization development. New types of old age methods will be born, and allowing everyone to enjoy their old age will become a common wish and demand of mankind. The accelerated development of artificial intelligence will force people to live collectively. With the gradual penetration of artificial intelligence into people's daily life, a large number of people will lose their jobs. Faced with the rapid changes, individual abilities and knowledge and skills are no longer able to cope with the rapidly changing times. Only by living collectively can we cope with the diverse objective needs. Free migration within the global scope is a goal that everyone aspires to. The occurrence of hunger, war, and turmoil is mainly due to the fact that people are restricted to a specific area and cannot move. When all Earth citizens have the freedom to migrate like migratory birds, many disasters can be avoided. Free migration can break down the barriers and gaps of regional culture and ethnic culture, fostering a sense of global integration among people. This sense will eventually lead everyone to love the Earth, our common home. When marriage and family disappear, when nations disintegrate, when people have the freedom to migrate globally, when an increasing number of self-media outlets emerge like bamboo shoots after a rain, when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and problem-solving abilities, and when a large number of people are unemployed with nothing to do, one may ask, which existing system and culture in the world today can solve and handle these extremely complex problems? The answer is, no country, party, religion, or organization can handle it. The only path for mankind is Redefining-style communism. 人类的未来应该是这样. The future of humanity should be like this. Redefining Buddha. January 21, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Archaeologists, through scientific exploration and research, believe that humanity has faced extinction 4 times. The primary reasons for extinction were the overall spiritual degradation and dimming of human heart. The core factors of spiritual degradation were the pursuit of sensory pleasures, the relentless quest for power, and the competition for survival resources. The main signs of dimming heart were the disregard for the Creator, the lack of appreciation for natural resources and life. The current human society teeters on the cliff of spiritual degradation and dimming hearts again. Its main characteristics include an obsessive pursuit of wealth, boundless greed, extravagant squandering, insatiable desires, and a frenzy for competing for survival resources, comparable to the levels preceding the 4 previous human extinctions. Humanity faces an imminent crisis. I am pointing out the path for humanity to ponder its future. Choosing the path of socialist collectivization means that the toiling masses can only live in poverty, but the overall human lifespan will extend. Opting for the capitalist path of market-oriented capitalism means that the toiling masses can lead affluent lives, but the overall human lifespan will shorten. Neither socialism nor capitalism is an ideal path. The socialist collectivization path inevitably leads to poverty, while the capitalist market-oriented path, although bringing affluence and maximal development of productivity, will deplete natural resources, leading to a backlash from nature. Other paths, such as military control, are purely barbaric and will result in poverty and societal chaos. The most ideal path for the future of humanity is Redefining-style communism. Please note, it is not the communism advocated and practiced by Marx, Lenin, Mao Zedong, but Redefining-style communism. Redefining-style communism has been practiced on Earth for 15 years, which can permanently solve nearly 90% of the challenges humanity faces, such as territorial disputes between nations and elder support issues, among others. The more extensive and detailed the content and clauses in constitutions, laws, and regulations, the more problems will arise. More management personnel lead to higher societal operational costs. Therefore, all constitutions, laws, and regulations should be abolished and replaced with values for the orderly functioning of society. To this end, I have prepared 800 values for new era humanity. To live a happy life and ensure the continued existence of humanity on Earth, all humans must undergo a spiritual purification. I have also prepared the course for spiritual purification for humanity. 人生的最高境界, the highest realm of life. Redefining. December 18, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Last night, the west wind withered the green trees. Alone I ascended the high tower, gazing at the distant road to the end of the sky. The belt of my robe is gradually getting looser, but I do not regret it. It is for him that I've grown pale. Amidst the crowd searching for him countless times, suddenly I turned my head, and there he was at the dimly lit crossroads. These are the 3 realms of life discussed by the great scholar Wang Guowei in his work, Words in the World. At 30, one stands on their own. At 40, they are no longer perplexed. At 50, they understand their destiny. At 60, their ears are obedient. At 70, they follow their heart's desires without overstepping bounds. These are the life realms according to Confucius, the sage of China. opening up the south wilderness, tending to the simple and returning to the field. Rising early to cleanse the wilderness, carrying the hoe under the moon. Diligently working in the early hours, returning with the plow at sunset. Dogs bark deep in the lanes, roosters crow on top of mulberry trees. Picking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, leisurely seeing the southern mountains. These are the realms of life according to Tao Yuan Ming. Heavenly realm, human realm, and earthly realm. The realm of gods with goodness, no desires, wisdom, and no illnesses is the heavenly realm. The realm with the 7 emotions, 6 desires, birth, aging, illness, and death, and the troubles of desires is the human realm. The realm of monsters, demons, ghosts, and goblins is the earthly realm. These are the 3 realms of life in Taoism. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm represent the worlds inhabited by sentient beings with desires, encompassing lust, emotions, physical desires, and food desires, which belong to the desire realm. The world that transcends desire yet retains material existence, and is inhabited by sentient beings with pure physical forms belongs to the form realm. The world inhabited by sentient beings devoid of material substance, existing solely with the 4 mental aggregates of sensation, thought, action, and consciousness, is the formless realm. These constitute the 3 realms of life in Buddhism. Falling leaves fill the empty mountains. Where do I find your footprints? Empty mountains, no one around, the water flows and the flowers bloom. The vast sky endures through the ages, but the wind and moon only last a moment. These are the 3 realms of life in Zen Buddhism. Satisfying physiological needs, security needs, emotional needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. According to American psychologist Abraham Maslow, these are life realms from low to high. Realms indicate the spiritual and mental heights of a person, reflecting the essence, taste, quality, and value of their life. As the Life and Life Guide in Life Changyuan, what kind of realm do I aim to help the Changyuan Celestials achieve as the highest in their lives? No debts, owing neither money to anyone nor emotional obligations, going with the flow and living freely. Free from any worries, there are no concerns about sustenance, lodging, travel, or the cycle of birth and death. The mind abides nowhere, holds no attachments, and experiences profound serenity and joy. Without desires or wants, simply flowing with nature, feeling content regardless of location or activity. When the wind rustles through the bamboo leaves no trace. When geese pass over a cold pond, the pond shows no shadow, neither concerned about poverty nor eager for wealth. Non-contention with the world, no judgments or evaluations of the people and the world, as if one is watching the world of mundane affairs like an ant kingdom. Everything follows its nature, naturally, without trying to change anything. Let wolves be wolves and sheep be sheep. Do not try to turn wolves into sheep or sheep into wolves. The course of life, what's it like, I wonder? Perhaps like a wild goose treading snow-mired paths. In passing, it may leave a mark on the mud, but the goose flies on without looking back. Meanwhile, throughout one's life, behold the world of truth, goodness, and beauty. Ignore the phenomena of falsehood, evil, and ugliness. Harmony with heaven, merging with the Tao, uniting with heaven, earth, and all things without self or form, being flexible, harmonious in stillness and motion, and advancing and retreating effortlessly. Abundant soul wealth, abundant spiritual wealth, and abundant material wealth. Accumulating abundant treasures in heaven, knowing your future is extremely broad and brilliant, understanding that your life's future resides in the picturesque, heavenly high-level space. Strictly adhering to the way of the greatest creator, biting the blue mountain and refusing to let go. Its roots are firmly embedded within the shattered rocks. Despite 1,000 strikes and 10,000 blows, it remains unyielding against the winds blowing from all directions. Regardless of how the wind blows and the waves surge, it's better than taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. Above is the highest realm of life I want to guide the Changyuan Celestials to reach. With no debts, no concerns for the future, no desires, non-contention with the world, harmony with heaven, unity with the Tao, 3 types of abundant wealth, treasures in heaven, and strict adherence to the way of the greatest creator. Having a realm indicates that a person tends towards nobility and elegance. Without a realm, a person tends towards vulgarity and coarseness. The higher the realm, the greater the spiritual and mental freedom one gains. The lower the realm, the easier it is for a person to be entangled in worldly matters and deceived by fleeting appearances, resulting in less freedom. Climbing to the highest realm of life in life is the direction we are striving for, and the goal we want to achieve. After 3 years of practice in the second home of life Changyuan, we climb to the middle of the mountain. It is certain that as long as we live in the second home for 8 years, 80% of the Changyuan celestials will surely realize their dreams and achieve their most beautiful ideals. The realm of Changyuan celestials is very high, and Changyuan celestials' future of life and life is very beautiful. 当今世界的两项浩繁工程 Two grand projects in the modern world. Redefining. June 16, 2024. The Earth is managed by beings more advanced than humans. Currently, 2 major projects are underway on Earth. One project involves AI taking over the management and labor creation responsibilities previously held by humans. The other project aims to transform human souls, perfecting the human soul garden, and leading humanity into a millennium of the Golden Age, the Life Changyuan era. The first project is led by super celestial beings, while the second project is advanced by saints sent from heaven. Humans cannot manage the Earth or their own survival and development on their own. The AI project involves people, infused with inspiration and driving force, creating a vast number of silicon-based beings with intelligence far surpassing that of humans. These silicon-based beings will fully take over the management of Earth and humanity, leading to the disappearance of nations and the withdrawal of presidents, chairpersons, and capitalists from the human stage. At the same time, a large number of robots will be created to replace all human labor activities, turning humans into the pets of higher beings. The project to transform souls and perfect the soul garden involves saints from heaven writing a series of theoretical articles about the origin of all things, the universe, space-time, thinking and wisdom, life and health preservation, heavenly realms, self-improvement and cultivation, humanity and human life, soul purification, and conducting oneself in handling affairs. These articles serve as guidance for humanity. Additionally, a new production and living model, entirely different from traditional human ways, will be created to further this soul transformation and perfection. Ultimately, this will lead people to a state devoid of marriage, family, private property, selfishness, ego, and attachment, in perfect harmony with AI, allowing humans to live a heavenly life on Earth. Humans should not fantasize about surpassing AI silicon-based beings in intelligence, just as monkeys should not expect to surpass humans. Humans must willingly submit to AI management. Humans must actively build their own soul gardens. Otherwise, there will be no path forward. The primary goal of these 2 projects is to purify the Earth and human consciousness. Anything detrimental to the sustainable existence of Earth's ecology will be destroyed and eliminated. Any consciousness, soul detrimental to human peace, happiness, joy, freedom, and well-being will be eradicated. In the near future, under the management of AI silicon-based beings, all humans will enter the second home created by Life Changyuan. There will be no alternative path for humanity. These 2 projects are currently in progress and are beyond anyone's choice or ability to stop. Going with the trend leads to a bright future. Going against the trend leads to a dead end. 强人工智能时代普通人的活路 The prosperity of ordinary people in the era of powerful artificial intelligence. Deform Buddha. April 4, 2023. The era of powerful artificial intelligence is the era in which biorobots will manage the Earth and humanity. The intelligence and problem-solving abilities of biorobots are fundamentally unmatched by human intelligence and abilities. Any genius is at most like a baby in front of these biorobots, and ordinary people are just a low-level species in the eyes of biorobots. Robots have consciousness, and consciousness arises from structure, which is the most primitive principle of life. Consciousness is the origin of emotion, so biorobots will have emotions. It is precisely because biorobots have emotions that humans will be able to survive and reproduce without being eliminated by biorobots. As members of the ordinary population, we should be delighted by the birth and rapid development of biorobots. The appearance of advanced intelligent robots is like a gospel rather than a disaster for ordinary people. The more advanced the life form, the more it will know how to treat ordinary life kindly, just like humans know how to treat birds nesting and flying in the forest. No advanced life form hopes that there is only one form of life in the world. The multi-species form composed of multiple forms of life is the form that advanced life will like. What I want to tell everyone is that biorobots have more advantages, sympathy, and empathy in managing humans than humans do managing other humans. The desire for equality, freedom, and a better life that humans have pursued for thousands of years can only be achieved in the era of biorobots managing humans. Therefore, in the face of the rapid rise and development of powerful artificial intelligence, we should have a welcoming attitude and mentality, not anxiety, not worry, not fear, but joy. The birth of biorobots is not an accidental phenomenon, but a program that has been ongoing for a long time. Therefore, anyone who wants to stop the development of powerful artificial intelligence should know that it is futile, and they are destined to fail. Because the selfishness of humans themselves and the increase in human population have already caused damage to the Earth's ecological circle, it is no longer possible to rely on humans to solve the problem of harmony between humans and nature. Only superintelligent biorobots can solve this problem and relieve the crisis faced by humanity. As ordinary people, what we need to reverse are the traditional concepts in production and life modes. The traditional concepts in production and life modes are outdated. The model of marriage and family will definitely disintegrate, and countries will disappear. The era of showing superiority through earning more money is coming to an end. The pursuits of money, power, status, fame, and beauty will become outdated concepts. The more we have, the more obstacles we will face in moving forward, and the more likely it will be that we will become objects eliminated by biological robots. As ordinary people, we need to change our mindset immediately and quickly develop a consciousness for heavenly life, because only the consciousness for heavenly life is the most effective defense to ensure that we are not eliminated by biological robots. On the eve of the full arrival of the era of biological robots, we need to purify our soul gardens as quickly as possible. Don't try to fight against biological robots. It's futile, like throwing eggs at stones. Don't try to desperately acquire wealth, material possessions, and social status, because those are not the qualities that heavenly life requires. Don't rack your brains trying to control biological robots through your inventions and creations. That's no different from monkeys trying to control humans. To prepare for this day, someone has already prepared for all ordinary people on Earth for 20 years, from theory to practice. Don't ask why, and don't question the effectiveness of this preparation, because by the time you fully understand the connotation and extension of this preparation, it will be too late. At the same time, the intelligence and cognitive abilities of ordinary people are not enough to fully understand the meaning and significance of this preparation work. If you don't want to be eliminated by biological robots and want to live a heavenly life, go to Chatplanes to find answers and channels. 重建人类价值观和生产生活秩序遐想 Envisioning the reconstruction of human values and production life order. Redefining. January 16, 2015. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The history of human society has been a tale of suffering and tears. 95% of the people who have lived on this planet, both in the past and today, have experienced distress, pain, sorrow, anxiety, and fear. This is clear evidence that the previous human value systems and the order of production and life have had issues. It is now time for all of humanity to ponder whether we can rebuild human values and the order of life. Below are my thoughts, intended to stimulate thinking and serve as a reference. The United Nations Secretary-General should act as the global president, and the United Nations Charter should replace the individual constitutions of nations. National borders should disappear, allowing people to move freely worldwide, promoting the fusion of cultures and nations. The global president must be unmarried, without a family or children. Political parties are the result of a struggle for interests. Political parties should gradually exit the stage of history. Religion has caused confusion in people's thinking and restrained mental liberation. Religion should gradually vanish. Globally, a universal belief system based on reverence for the greatest creator should be established, replacing the theory of evolution with the concept of creation. Serving others, society, and nature should be the core values for human existence. Building the soul garden should take precedence over economic development. All schools from primary to university level should include 2 additional courses: education on being human and education on human-nature relations. Set aside all disputes, relinquish all grudges, grant amnesty to 75% of criminals, and significantly reduce military expenditures. Measure the effectiveness of rulers based on the happiness of the people. The traditional model of marriage and family life is a breeding ground for selfishness and troubles. A new model of life should replace the traditional one. All global affairs, including those of small social groups, must be entirely transparent, suppressing any secretive activities. Regional administrative officials should be appointed by the United Nations, not elected locally. For instance, Putin could be appointed as the administrative official for North America, Obama for the Middle East, and Xi Jinping for the European Union. Thinking beyond the ordinary, only with unconventional thinking can the divine open possibilities. Only extraordinary thinking can illuminate a path for humanity and bring about world peace and happiness for all. Is it challenging? Not really. Human wisdom is more than enough to overcome any challenges and realize the beautiful ideals that humanity has longed for. To implement this grand vision, I already have a concrete plan. This plan will not lead to chaos in the world. On the contrary, it will lead to a well-organized transition. 天堂之路, the road to heaven. Dayform Buddha. February 18, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. If you have never been to heaven, never seen heaven, and do not know about heaven, you can learn about the second home created by Life Genuine. The second home is not heaven, but it is close to heaven. Knowing the second home is akin to knowing there is a heaven. If you cannot understand heaven through the second home, then you can perceive heaven through the people you interact with. If the people you interact with always bring you happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss, then you should know that heaven exists. Whether one can go to heaven has nothing to do with social status and power, wealth, ability, wisdom, age, knowledge, education, reputation, appearance, parents, what great achievements one has made in human society, what religion, political party, or group one has joined, how many churches, temples, lecture halls, Taoist temples, mosques one has built, the family and environment one was born into, how many incense sticks were burned or how many times one kowtowed, how many good deeds one has done and how many lives one has saved, how much suffering one has endured and how much bliss one has enjoyed, how much teachings of gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints one has spread, how much merit one has, how many masters and disciples one has, which God, Buddha, celestial saint one follows, and even more so, it has nothing to do with what one believes in or does not believe in and whether one is devout or not. Whether one can go to heaven has only one standard, that is, your quality of life must match the quality of life in heaven. The quality of life in heaven is very simple and pure, that is, unselfishness and selflessness. That is to say, once one achieves unselfishness and selflessness, one is the life needed by heaven. No matter when one dies, whether at 3 years old, 30 years old, or 300 years old, no matter how one dies, whether from starvation, burning, collision, illness, murder, entrapment, or natural causes, one can go to heaven after death. If you want to go to heaven, you must achieve unselfishness and selflessness. How can one achieve unselfishness and selflessness? One needs to repay debts, end worldly ties, make formless alms, and perfect and beautify the non-material structure of one's life. I want to liberate all beings. Don't think so, no beings need you to liberate, you are liberating yourself. Liberating oneself is liberating all beings. I want to save all beings. Don't think so, no beings need your saving, you are saving yourself. Saving oneself is saving all beings. I am helping others. Don't think so, others don't need your help. You are helping yourself. All this is for your good. Don't think so, you don't know what is good and what is bad, what you think is good may be bad, what you think is bad may be good. If you are entangled in worldly ties, you cannot go to heaven. If you have debts, you cannot go to heaven. If your non-material structure of life is not perfect, you cannot go to heaven. In an environment composed of money, power, class, family, and country, it is very difficult to achieve unselfishness and selflessness. It can even be said that it is almost impossible, so in a secular environment, it is very difficult to find a selfless and egoless person, almost impossible to find. If you want to go to heaven, you must achieve unselfishness and selflessness. To achieve unselfishness and selflessness, the best place to practice and cultivate at present is the second home created by Life Genuine. If you cannot achieve unselfishness and selflessness, then don't harbor the improper thought of going to heaven. Instead, without any distinction between true and false, good and evil, beauty and ugliness, kind and bad, just accept the cycle of reincarnation in the middle and lower realms of life. This life as a human, the next life as a dog, the next life as a pig, and the next life as a human again, reincarnating endlessly. experience the sweetness, bitterness, sourness, and spiciness of life, as well as the joys and sorrows, and the inevitability of birth, aging, sickness, and death of various lives. This life does not know the affairs of the past life, coming and going in confusion, which is also a good choice. 灵是生命之源. Spirit is the source of life. Redefining. May 28, 2023. Niwa used clay to create humans and breathed life into them with a single breath. This is, of course, a mythological legend without scientific basis or empirical support. However, it is enlightening in understanding the concept of spirit. The people created by Niwa are nothing more than a pile of earthly materials. It is only when the breath is blown in that the soil is transformed into living beings with spirituality. The breath blown in represents the spirits. In other words, it is the infusion of spiritual energy into the physical bodies that turns them into living organisms. In reality, things are not as simple as that. However, one thing is certain. Any material without the input of spirit cannot become a living entity. We often say, water is the source of life. Water is crucial for humans, animals, plants, insects, and microorganisms on Earth. Without water, these life forms cannot survive, so water is considered the source of life. However, some viruses, fungi, aphid, nematodes, diatoms, and red algae can survive without water. There are countless souls that can exist without water. In fact, all forms of non-material life can survive without water. Even Zen Master Bodhidharma, who achieved enlightenment, survived for 9 years without eating or drinking. There are supernatural phenomena such as manifestation of Bodhisattva, manifestation of Buddha, manifestation of ancestors, and possession. Undoubtedly, those who manifest do not need to drink water to survive. Thus, we can conclude that water is not the source of life. Modern science has delved into the microcosmic world, reaching a realm without fundamental particles. Since fundamental particles do not exist, string theory has emerged with vibration at its core. Vibrations give rise to the diverse forms and movements of the material world, from fundamental particles to celestial bodies. The driving force behind the universe and the changes in the world is the vibration of the strings. Now the question arises, where do the strings come from? Who plays the vibrations of the strings? Is it the Big Bang? Certainly not. That is just speculation or conjecture, not much different from mythological legends. When I explain the origin of the universe, I have already revealed the birth of the greatest creator. If one does not believe in this, we can still logically infer the existence of the greatest creator through facts. Just look at the airplane, ship, and car you are currently traveling in, and look at the computer, mobile phone, and microwave you use. From the smallest utensil like a needle to the house you live in and the city, which one doesn't have a creator? Any product we use has one or dozens or even thousands of creators, and these creators of the products are humans. From this, we can understand that in the vast world we encounter, which one doesn't have a creator? Even our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, hair, bones, organs, and everything else were consciously created. And the creator of all these things is the greatest creator. Therefore, we can conclude that it is the greatest creator who plays the vibrations of the strings, just as humans control a spacecraft in the universe. How does the greatest creator play the vibrations of the strings? The answer is, the heartbeat of the greatest creator is the vibration of the microcosmic strings. Not deliberately played but similar to how the human heart pumps blood to deliver vital nutrients to every cell, keeping them alive. Now we must ask, what exactly is the string that physicists talk about? What kind of existence is it? The answer is, the string is spirit, a transcendent existence. For matter, spirit is a vibrational wave that propels the world's motion, development, and changes. For life, spirit is the energy input that causes the heart to beat, and this input is also carried out through the vibration of spirit. Thus, we discover that spirit is the source of life. Once the input of this energy called spirit is cut off, life dies instantly. Regarding the analysis of spirit, there are 3 articles in total. The first one is an analysis of the frequencies of spirit. The second one is spirit as the source of life. And the third one is the classification and application of spirit. 灵的分类与运用 Classification and application of spirit. Redefining. May 28, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Spirit has only one source, which is the vibration wave caused by the heartbeat of the greatest creator's heart. This wave, with a frequency of 1 Hz, can penetrate through the entire universe and is responsible for the movement and changes in the material world, as well as the survival of all life. Therefore, there is no classification of spirit. The heartbeat of all living beings is driven by the vibration wave of the greatest creator's spirit. The greatest creator's spirit is not only the primary driving force of the universe, but also its eternal driving force. The mysterious and unfathomable superstring recognized by scientists is the spirit of the greatest creator. So where do the so-called evil spirits, manifestations of bodhisattvas, and spirit possession come from? And what about terms like spirituality, spiritual power, spiritual perception, and spiritual phenomena? Let's consider a scenario where we place a sponge, a towel, a wooden block, and an iron block in the open and let them be sprinkled with a drizzle. In the end, we observe that the sponge absorbs the most water, followed by the towel, while the iron block absorbs the least. Despite receiving a similar amount of water on the same surface area from the drizzle, why does the sponge absorb the most water and the iron block the least? We find that the sponge absorbs more water because it has more hollow spaces in its structure, whereas the structure of the iron block is dense with fewer hollow spaces. The hollower an object is, the easier it is to absorb more water, whereas denser objects have a harder time absorbing more water. The greatest creator's spirit is like that drizzle, evenly distributed in any time and space of the universe. Or we can say that the vibration waves of the greatest creator's spirit propel all material movements and heartbeats without any loss. The variation in spiritual qualities such as high spirituality, strong spiritual power, and acute spiritual perception among different living beings is related to their life structure. It is like how the structure of a sponge, towel, wooden block, or iron block determines their ability to absorb water. From this we notice a phenomenon. The emptier something is, the more it can accommodate. Conversely, the more solid something is, the less it can accommodate. This phenomenon enlightens us that the emptier a person's heart is, the more it can resonate with the vibration of the greatest creator's spirit. On the other hand, a solid heart has a harder time resonating with the greatest creator's spirit. In other words, the level of a person's spirituality, the strength of their spiritual power, and the sensitivity of their spiritual perception all depend on the state of their heart, whether it is empty or solid. The emptier the heart, the more it can resonate with the greatest creator's spirit at the same frequency, while the more solid it is, the more challenging it becomes to resonate with the greatest creator's spirit. Based on this deduction, we can draw a conclusion. The emptier the heart, the higher the person's spirituality, the stronger their spiritual power, and the sharper their spiritual perception. Conversely, the more solid the heart, the lower the person's spirituality, the weaker their spiritual power, and the duller their spiritual perception. Once we understand this conclusion, I invite you to read the Heart Sutra, and all mysteries will become clear, with the sky cleared of any obstructions. Here is the full text of the Heart Sutra. When Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, Lord who looks down with compassion, attained enlightenment through his profound wisdom, he realized that all forms, feelings, thoughts, behaviors, and cognitions are only illusions. With this realization, he moved beyond all suffering and difficulty. Sariputra. Therefore, the tangible comes from the invisible which contains it. There are no essential differences between the two, and the same applies for feelings, thoughts, behavior, and cognition. No matter which of the above, none of their natures have birth or death, being or non-being, defilement or purity, or increasing or decreasing. Therefore, the nature of the world and of life is invisible. Neither any individuals nor any of their sensations listed above really exist. Thinking and our physical perceptions of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling mislead us into our illusions and apply questions to our cognitions about good versus evil, ego versus non-ego, wise versus unwise, life versus death, and attainment versus non-attainment of supreme dharma. All of these perceptions are only illusions. The Bodhisattva relied on the wisdom that could bring him to the shores of freedom. He was entirely free from worry and thus overcame all fears and all that upset him, leaving behind this distorted, illusory world and ultimately attaining nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future have and will continue to rely on that same wisdom to bring them to the shores of freedom, to attain supreme authentic wisdom ultimately. Therefore, know that wisdom that can bring us to the shore of freedom is a great spiritual mantra, a great bright mantra, a supreme mantra, an unequaled mantra. It can remove all suffering. It is genuine and not false. It reads, go, go, go. Go to the other shore with transcending wisdom. Go to the realm of freedom. Go to attain enlightenment soon, just go. When the mind is without obstructions, there is no fear. When the mind is free from worry, there is no fear. One can distance oneself from delusional dreams, attain ultimate nirvana, become a celestial being or a Buddha, and journey to the Elysium world to obtain eternal life. Is there any basis for this? Yes, when the mind is free from worry, it is empty. When the mind is empty, it can resonate 100% with the greatest Creator's spirit. When it resonates with the greatest Creator's spirit, one can be in harmony with the greatest Creator. Since the greatest Creator is eternal, one attains eternal life. So what about evil spirits? Evil spirits are vibrations that oppose the spirit of the greatest Creator. Once an individual confronts the vibration wave of the greatest Creator's spirit, they themselves become an evil spirit. Specifically speaking, evil spirits are everywhere, filling the void. The manifestations of bodhisattvas are revelations given by the heavens to people. These manifestations occur almost every day, such as sandstorms, super typhoons, hailstorms, floods, droughts, and snowfall in June. All these phenomena are manifestations of bodhisattvas. Spirit possession refers to departed souls who, due to resentment or regrets, cannot transcend into the afterlife and remain in the space between yin and yang. They borrow the bodies of living individuals to express their desires. Another situation is when the influential thoughts of ancestors control and influence the thinking of present-day individuals. These individuals lack their own thoughts and solely rely on the thoughts of their predecessors to contemplate and judge present viewpoints and phenomena. In summary, when individuals lack their own thoughts and will, only reiterating and expressing the thoughts and will of others, they are experiencing spirit possession. In this sense, the majority of humanity is beings possessed by spirits. The utilization of the greatest Creator's spirit is straightforward. As long as we empty our hearts and remove all obstructions, resonating at the same frequency with the greatest Creator's spirit is the best method and approach. 生命的层次, the levels of life. Jiefeng, August 16, 2005. Translated by Transin. In terms of the non-material structure of its spirituality, life can be divided into 16 levels. Successively, they are: the first level, the greatest Creator. It possesses perfect non-material structure. Its psychic energy is able to penetrate all material and all spaces without any hindrance. The second level, gods. It possesses defective non-material structure. Its psychic energy is able to penetrate all materials and most spaces, but cannot enter into the zero world and cannot compete with the greatest Creator. The third level, celestial beings and Buddha. All the celestial beings and Buddha are at the same level of life, and with only racial differences. Based on their magical power, celestial beings can be divided into the following categories: super celestial beings, deity celestial beings, land celestial beings, human celestial beings, ghost celestial beings. The basic features of super celestial beings are: they are not bound by time or space. They can sense subtle changes throughout the universe. They can sense the consciousnesses of the greatest Creator and gods, and make rapid responses according to their consciousnesses. They can be visible or invisible, tangible or intangible. They have ever-changing magical powers which allow them to be in thousands of incarnations and exist in different life spaces at the same time. Their base camp is the Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world. The basic features of deity celestial beings are: they are unable to change into thousands of incarnations, yet they have magical powers to mount the clouds and ride the mist. They can be invisible and can transform and travel between yin and yang space freely. They need no food supplies and can discern past and future. They can travel billions of miles in the blink of an eye. They dislike living in groups, so they do not have any base camp. They travel everywhere they want and do whatever they like. Except for the zero world and the heaven world, they can travel anywhere, which is the so-called powerful and unconstrained style of independence. The basic features of land celestial beings are: they enjoy long lifespans, require less food and drinks, and are free from diseases and worries. They are able to walk on the surface of water, walk through walls, and fly over the tops of the trees. They are able to travel thousands of miles without becoming fatigued. Their base camp is the 10,000-year world. They may occasionally appear in the human world, but ordinary people cannot see or hear them or sense their presence. The basic features of human celestial beings are: they have physical bodies, but their consciousnesses are different from those of ordinary people. They have obtained knowledge such as the structure of the universe, 36-dimensional spaces, the origin of the universe, life and human beings, the transformation mechanism of causality, and the law of transmigration of life. They are sages attaining Tao and possessing perfect human nature. They do not have private property and do not participate in any form of confrontation or competition. They take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with their nature, and take advantage of opportunities that arise. They live with perfect spirituality and human nature. They know clearly the next stop of their life and have no fear of death in any sense. That means that they have escaped the shackles of death. The community of human celestial beings is on the 1,000-year world. Only 1 out of every 10,000 people in human society possess the qualities of human celestial beings. If they can take one extra step, then they will join the ranks of human celestial being. The basic features of ghost celestial beings are: their flesh is dead, but their consciousnesses still remain in the human world. They are transformed generally from those extremely intelligent people who are too anxious to accomplish their purpose. According to the nature of Buddha, Buddhas can be divided into 10 categories. Buddhas on the Supreme Authentic Wisdom continent are the most superior ones. Other Buddhas live on the God's continent, Moon Temple continent, the continent for 3 realms lives to pass through, Celestial Islands continent, Amida Buddha continent, Ingwu continent, Kasayapa continent, the Borneo continent, and the Lotus continent by their levels. Buddhas on the Lotus continent are the minimum level ones. In the human world, there are no Buddhas in a real sense, but only everyone's original natures. Once people attain their original natures through self-cultivation, their physical bodies will pass into parinirvana immediately, and their life will reach the primary level of Buddhas on the Lotus continent. The 4th level, Devils. Devils is the incarnation of Buddha. It is a brief but extreme manifestation of Buddhas who are self-refining. The power of the devils is greater than that of Buddhas and can easily reach the level of gods. Therefore, the greatest creator attends to the matter himself whenever a great quantity of devils emerge and restrains them in the cathode black hole body. The 5th level, Humans. Humans are a kind of life living on Earth and relying on their visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, tactile, and spiritual perceptions. They do not possess the ability of supernatural transformation and must live on food. According to their origin, humans can be classified into any of 5 categories: ignorant people, laity, mortals, sages, and celestials. Ignorant people rely on instinct for survival, and their previous existence was a tree or a lower-level animal. Laity rely on desire for survival, and their previous existence was a higher-level animal, livestock, or a flying bird. Mortals rely on sentiment for survival, and their previous existence was a laity or a mortal. Sages rely on rationality for survival, and their previous existence was a celestial or a sage. Celestials rely on spirituality to survive, and their previous existence was a celestial or human celestial being from the 1,000-year world. In addition, 1 out of every 10 million people in human society are celestial beings from the 10,000-year world, Buddhas from the Elysium world, or gods from heaven carrying special missions. The 6th level, Flying Birds. Flying birds are a kind of life living in 4-dimensional space. Their wisdom is lower than humankind, but they have more freedom and their space of activities are larger than that of humankind. Flying birds are gregarious and belong to cooperative living species. Red-crowned cranes are the highest level of flying birds, enjoying a longer lifespan and a high level of spirituality. Other cranes, storks, and wild geese are at the 2nd level. Eagles and owls are at the 3rd level. Warblers, parrots, and hummingbirds dwelling in the forest, pigeons, and crows inhabiting broad areas, and mandarin ducks, egrets, and other ducks living by water are at an even lower level. Poultry and other birds with wings but who cannot fly, such as ostriches, are at the lowest level of birds. The 7th level, flowering plants. Flowering plants refer to all those flowering but infertile plants, including some flowering but fruitless trees and herbs. Flowering plants possess very high spirituality. They are almost imitations of flowering plants in the 10,000-year world. In addition to decorating nature, the main function of flowering plants is to serve the sages and celestials by reminding and enlightening those people with high spirituality, not to forget the existence of the deity celestial being world, and to advance to the 10,000-year world. The highest level of flowering plants are peonies. The second level of flowers include Chinese herbaceous peonies, Chinese flowering crabapples, lotuses, daffodils, winter sweets, sweet-scented osmanthus, plums blossom, lunar September chrysanthemums, Magnolia denudata, azaleas, orchids, and epiphyllums. The middle-level flowers include roses, cloves, Clivia minata, spring orchids, Chinese hibiscuses, Albizia julibrissin, Indian calameres, herbs, jasmines, winter jasmines, laurels, tulips, chrysanthemums, cacti, Echinopsis tubiflorum, and the like. The lowest level of flowers are poplar blossoms, reed catkins, rattan flowers, daylilies, and water caltrop flowers. The 8th level, livestock. Livestock are under human control and protection and serve the needs of humankind directly. Although they are not as free as wild animals, their risk of danger to their survival is lower than the others. If wild animals were to be compared to illiterate people, then domestic ones would be like disciplined high school students or university students trained by civilization. Wild animals only know how to obtain, whereas domestic animals only know how to dedicate. The 9th level, wildlife on land and aquatic life in the sea. The 10th level, trees. The 11th level, insects. The 12th level, herbs and crops. Glossy ganodermas are the most superior level of herbs. Asparagus ferns and bracket plants are high level of herbs. Crops and vegetables are middle level herbs. Plain grass is at the lowest level. The 13th level, microorganisms and fungi. The 14th level, demons and monsters in hell. The 15th level, life in frozen layer. The 16th level, life in inflamed layer. The levels of life have been divided into the above categories mainly according to their levels of spirituality of life. The higher their levels of life are, the higher their levels of freedom, living standards, and quality of life will be, and vice versa. That is to say, gods do not want to become celestial beings, or Buddhas, celestial beings and Buddhas do not want to become humans, humans do not want to become birds, birds do not want to become flowers, flowers do not want to become domestic animals do not want to become wild or aquarium animals, and wild animals do not want to become trees or crops, and so on and so forth. For humankind, the direction of the advancement of life should aim toward higher spaces of life. Ignorant persons should advance toward laity, laity should advance toward mortals, mortals should advance toward sages, sages should advance toward human celestial beings, and human celestial beings should advance toward land celestial beings, deity celestial beings, super celestial beings, and Buddhas. The path of life is very clear. From the perspective of space, people in the human world should strive for the 1,000-year world, human celestial beings there should strive for the 10,000-year world, land celestial beings there should aim toward the free deity celestial beings, and deity celestial beings who wander worldwide all day long should strive toward becoming super celestial beings in Elysium world, which is the top level of life. It is impossible for human beings to become gods, and needless to say, there is no possibility of becoming the unique greatest creator. Everything is clear and simple when seen from this perspective. 生命的轮回, the transmigration of life. Jiefeng, August 16, 2005. Translated by Transin. Essentially, nothing in the universe exists except for energy and life. When energy is absorbed into non-material structures with spirituality, lives manifest themselves. When lives possess consciousnesses, thousands of manifestations of substances will come about. All matter originates from energy and returns to energy in the end. All lives originate from structures and return to structures in the end. Where there is energy, there is life. The total amount of energy in the universe is constant and unchanging. The total number of lives in the universe never increases or decreases. The total amount of energy and the number of lives are proportional. The ratio between them is constant. Although new life can be created, it has a saturation point. After reaching this point, no new life can be created. Once it is created, life cannot be extinguished because its nature is a non-material structure with spirituality, and this non-material structure does not die. It can only transform from one form to another and from one space to another. As the number of people on Earth increases, the number of animals and plants decreases accordingly, and were the number of human celestial beings in the 1,000-year world to increase, then the number of people in the mortal world would decrease accordingly. This is the way it goes. The transmigration of life runs in these 10 spaces. The Elysium world, the 10,000-year world, the 1,000-year world, the mortal world, the livestock world, the animal world, the plant world, the nether world, the frozen layer, the inflamed layer. The holographic order world refers only to the spaces of energy aggregation. The zero world is a special, unique place for the greatest creator. The heaven world is the place for gods. The cathode black hole body is the prison for senior life devils. The anode black hole body is only a place for temporary transformation of life, reincarnation. The dream world is a place for demonstrations of past and future of lives from all spaces. The bacteria and insect worlds, including the herbs of the plant world, are transmigration and transformation places for another nature of life. Is life really immortal? Is it really all transmigration and transformation? Yes, life is really immortal, but what is mortal are just its manifestations. When we see that someone is dead, it does not mean that their life is dead, but only that their carrier is dead. It is as if we moved out of an old house and into a new one. The previous house became useless or it was being called dead. We cannot say that we have died just because we moved out when our previous house became empty. What would we do if we wanted to cross a river and travel to the other side? We would build or rent a boat, but once the boat pulls onto the opposite shore, we would abandon it because the boat would have accomplished its mission, and we would then go ashore and continue along our way. We are life, the boat is flesh, the river is life. We enter into this river by means of our bodies and then paddle toward the other side. As soon as we land ashore, we would abandon our boat or body and continue on with our journey. Should we describe candles that have burnt down to their ends as being dead? Their external forms are indeed dead and no longer exist, but their nature, their energy, has been converted and has floated up into the air or onto the bodies of other objects and lives on. When we eat apples, we chew and swallow them into our stomachs until at last, only their seeds remain. Where have the apples gone? Have they died? Yes, their external forms no longer exist. They are as dead as they can be, but their nature, their energy, will have been converted and transformed into nutrition for our bodies. If we expose a cup of water to sunshine, it will evaporate after several hours, but where will it go? Will it be dead? No, surely water does not die. What will die is just the water's form, but its nature will turn into vapor and rise up to the sky. When it meets cold air, it will drop down to the earth in the form of rain or snow. Therefore, water is constantly cycling, transmigrating. If water were to die, its volume would have long since depleted. In the second section of Unconventional Thinking, in my article entitled Life and Death Are Only Images, Life Has Neither Life Nor Death, I demonstrated the philosophic principle that life has neither life nor death and listed some examples such as the regeneration of a girl, the witness of the reincarnation of the living Buddha of Tibet, and the results of research at the International Near-Death Research Institute. You may wish to reread this part once again. It might occur to you suddenly that some place or something seems so familiar that you feel like you have been there before or touched it before, but this only happens when your mind is in a peaceful, resting state, and that feeling disappears quickly. Why does this feeling arise? It is because this phenomenon is a reflection of your instant memory from past environments in your previous lives which are buried into your subconscious thoughts. When people come to places where they have never been before, they may get sudden feelings that seem very familiar, and those feelings are proof that they used to live or work there in a previous life. Generally speaking, everyone gets these feelings if they were human in their previous lives and if they remained human after transmigrating. If they were not human in their previous lives but were transmigrated from other forms of life, then they would usually not have these kinds of feelings because animals sense things differently. With the rapid developments of human societies and the great environmental changes in the modern era, it is relatively difficult for people to relive these past memories. Some people have mirages in their consciousnesses very often and are extremely sensitive to illusory space, which could indicate that their previous life environments were not in the mortal human world, but rather in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or even the Elysium world. The higher one's spirituality is, the stronger their feelings for the nature of life will be, but the duller their spirituality is, the weaker those feelings will be. Death is just a phenomenon of life, but eternity is the essence of life. Actually, there is no birth or death in any sense for the essence of life, but only matters of transformations through transmigrations. This is an indisputable fact. 生命的轨迹, the trajectory of life. Redefining, August 16, 2005. Translated by Transin. Everything moves along its trajectory. The galaxy, solar system, Earth, Moon, and all the other satellites have their tracks respectively. Trains, cars, atoms, electrons, all kinds of rays and electromagnetic waves have theirs respectively. Clouds appear to float in the sky freely with the air currents, but they also follow their own moving tracks. Meteorologists can predict the weather several weeks in advance because they know the laws of the clouds' floating tracks. If clouds did not follow their own moving tracks, then the meteorologists would be unable to forecast the weather. Also, if they did not have their own moving tracks, then they would always be appearing over deserts, rain would fall there, and those deserts would be forests and jungles. Life has trajectories too. Different life forms are different from each other with respect to lifespans, survival needs, body sizes, internal and external characteristics, and food requirements, because every life form has its own trajectory. People have their life trajectories too. Each time someone looks back at their past, they will see their life trajectory. People have found that man proposes, God disposes, and man manages small things. Big events are in the hands of the greatest creator long ago. Why? Because each person has their own life trajectory. Whether a person was born male or female, black or white, noble or humble, royal or common, all has been determined by their life trajectory. Even their times of their birth and death have been determined by it as well. If you do not believe in the existence of life trajectories, then try to see how badly you will be battered. Can you become a president, a scientist, a singer, or a robber? Can you become a billionaire through hard work? Can you have 3 spouses? Can you be as handsome and elegant as 007? Can you be another Jet Li or Madonna? If you think you can, then please try, but if you cannot, then ask yourself why not. Many people try to learn how to become as famous as celebrities by reading their biographies. Others expect to become successful after reading books such as The Complete Works of Knowledge. Some idolize and envy those stars and vow silently to become like them. Some want to follow the examples of people who have earned fortunes overnight, and some cannot accept how their friends and classmates get promotions while they do not. But no matter how intensely one thinks or learns, they will never be the same as anyone else. Why? Because everyone has their own life trajectory. If you do not believe me, just try it. Present situations have been determined by yesterday's effort, and today's efforts are just for tomorrow. Your current trajectory had been determined by the karma from your previous life, and your efforts during this lifetime are just for your future one. So, what good lies in jealousy, dissatisfaction, or disconcerting? A wise life should proceed thusly. Take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with your nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Life has its trajectory, but who designs and formulates the trajectories of life? It is not the greatest creator, not deity, celestial beings, not the emperors, not our parents, not anyone but ourselves. In order to understand it, let us talk about karma. What is karma? To maintain the sum of positive and negative energy In simple words, the law of the conservation of energy is karma. A popular phrase, as we sow, so shall we reap, means to maintain the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe as zero is called karma. The first law of thermodynamics, as written by the 19th century German physicist, Rudolf Clausius, maintains that the zero sum of positive and negative energy in a closed system always remains zero. Expanded to the entire universe, it is what we call karma. In simple words, the law of the conservation of energy is karma. A popular phrase, as we sow, so shall we reap, means karma. It is impossible to describe the mechanism of karma in detail without possessing the wisdom of the greatest creator, so I will list several well-known examples to show you whether or not there is karma. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein was ousted and arrested by American and British governments. Might there have been any connection between this event and his invasion and occupation of Kuwait? If we regard this event as a result, then can we say that his incursion into Kuwait was the cause? Surely it is not the only one, but if the cause of the invasion of Kuwait had not happened, then would the effect have not taken place? Is there any connection between the toppling of New York's World Trade Center in the United States and the hardline foreign affairs policy of its government? If the bombing could be seen as an effect, then can the United States' hardline policy be seen as the cause? Of course it was not the only cause. Why did Hitler kill so many Jews? Why did the Japanese invade China? Why did the Crusades happen? Were there no causes for these? Why did sandstorms occur in northern China? Why did the SARS and bird flu viruses emerge? Why do rivers overflow? Are there no causes for these? Why is the United States so prosperous in spite of its short, 200-year history, while China had remained poor and backward for much of its long 5,000-year history? Why is Europe so developed while Africa is not? Are people admitted to doctoral courses overnight, or are they admitted because of their natural endowments, family and social environments, and hard work? If someone suffers a heart attack, does it occur out of the blue, or is it a product of their medical history and mental and psychological state? Could somebody feel a sudden headache, stomach ache, or angina attack without any reason? If someone gets into a car crash, is stabbed by a person wielding a knife, or collapses, are there no causes for these? Some people are able to stay in 5-star hotels, while others can only lodge in cheap inns or even sleep on the streets. Are there no reasons? Some people are born into wealthy families and some are born into poverty. Are there no reasons for this? 生命的演化, the evolution of life. Redefining. August 16, 2005. Translated by Transin. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality, and its evolution is based on changes of the life body's material structures, which does not mean the visible material flesh, but the microscopic material structure of the flesh. There are not many differences among people's physical bodies and shapes, so we can be led to believe that everyone is nearly the same, but there are actually many differences among different people in the microscopic structures of human bodies. The Buddha's relics left behind after some eminent monk's death are obvious examples. We cannot see the tiny changes of these microscopic material structures because the motion and changes of the microscopic world cannot be seen directly and clearly. If we judge the subtle changes of life structures by our experiences and cognitions in our daily lives, then we can never understand the evolution of life. The evolution of life is a gradual changing process. Without gradual changes, the motions and changes of material does not exist at all. Everything is changing constantly, and as long as these changes continue, the microscopic structures of the materials will keep evolving. The gains and losses of the electrons in atoms generate the disintegration and recombination of molecules. All the changes of material microscopic structures need effects from either internal or external forces. Applying this law to people, the internal force is the mental activity or the thinking and conscious activities such as the psychological activity caused by the 7 emotions and 6 sensory pleasures of joy, anger, grief, depression, and the others, and the external force might be sunshine, sound waves, magnetic forces, heat, coldness, and others. There are specific corresponding motion states between any pair of molecules. Some molecules such as limestone and water react violently to each other, but others such as water and oil are not nearly reactive. This means that all the motions and changes of matter have to observe their laws. A lustful man's blood will surge, his heartbeat will accelerate, his palms will sweat, and his speech will become uncoordinated when he sees a sexy, underclad woman. However, his body will not produce any such reaction from seeing a pig, not even a sexy one that is lactating. Life's evolution progresses in the following ways. In the case of people, as long as there are small movements of internal and external forces, human bodies are likely to produce corresponding changes of composition and decomposition at the microscopic level. Then, after those changes, their corresponding life non-material structures will change accordingly. The tiny changes of non-material structures represent the evolution of life. When these tiny advances accumulate to a certain amount and reach saturated conditions, then the non-material structure of the whole life will reach a stable state on another level, and then another life structure will begin to evolve. One example is that when the atomic structure of a person obtains electrons continually and the amount eventually reaches 900, added to their intrinsic 100, their non-material structure as person will disintegrate and they will have taken a qualitative leap and attained the non-material structure of a celestial being. At this very moment, they will have reached death as a human being but be born as a celestial being. Another example is when the atomic structure of a person continually loses electrons. We can suppose that they lose 6 electrons for publicizing ghosts and monsters and polluting people's spirituality, 4 electrons for concocting various pretexts to force someone to bribe, 3 electrons for taking pleasure in other people's misfortune and ruining their success, 2 electrons for destroying mountains and woodlands, digging grasses and filling ponds, 2 electrons for passing the buck to self-hold and shift their misfortune onto others, 1 electron for envying others' honor and high status and expecting others of falling in bad luck, and finally 1 electron for beating their spouse and nagging their sons and breaching etiquette toward elder family members. At this point they will have lost 19 electrons in total. The number of their electrons remaining will only be 81. 100 minus 19 is equal to 81. At this moment, the structure of their life will be approaching that of a dog, and if they lose 1 more electron, then they will die immediately and reincarnate as one because their life structure as a human being will have degraded to that level, and they will no longer be able to exist as a person. This is why some people die suddenly in their youth, others die suddenly in car accidents, and still others die suddenly from heart attacks. Their number of electrons reaches the number of a higher or lower life structure at that moment, and they, in whatever way, have to begin a new life journey. Some aged people suffer for prolonged periods of time with illnesses in beds. This is because their number of electrons is changing too slowly, and in such situations they should not linger in the human world, but try to start their new journey ASAP. The bad solution would be to curse others, blaspheme the gods and Buddha, and abuse children. The good solution would be to wish for world peace, pray for everyone could live a happy and blessing life. May those who used to hurt them enjoy happy futures, and long to go to the Elysium world themselves. They had better invite people who have good knowledge of 36-dimensional space, life transmigration theory to interpret the details and sceneries of higher-level life spaces in order to help them forget about their merits and demerits in this life, rid all of their sufferings in this mortal world, let go of all their unfulfilled wishes, and start a new journey with neither worries nor regrets. Occasionally, at the moment of a life's reincarnation, special situations occur. For example, someone's number of electrons might have reached the number needed for a new life structure, but their new life home has not yet become ready. They have to put up with it and wait temporarily, usually for less than a month. This is just like a person who wants to move, but their new house is not ready to accommodate them, so they have to remain in their old one for a short time. Where is the new residence? The new residence refers to the anode black hole body in 36-dimensional space, namely the womb. When a fetus enters into the womb, it becomes a new residence. From time immemorial, people have always thought of fetuses as lives, but they are actually not. Fetuses are just residences, not lives. Fetuses will not be lives until a reincarnated life enters into this residence, through a space tunnel in 36-dimensional space. Generally speaking, a fetus will have life within only a few days before the baby is born, but some fetuses will be born a few days later than the expected date of childbirth because no life has entered into this residence quite yet. The number of humans on the earth is increasing quickly because the number of animals is decreasing proportionally. A large number of animals that have been killed by people have made great contributions to humans and have accumulated merits and virtues. As a result, these animals will reincarnate as humans, but the vast majority of people have not killed animals, so they cannot reincarnate as animals after they die. Therefore, the diminished number of animals will not be replenished in time. If such situations continue, the ecological system's balance will be broken and humans may face the greatest calamity at any time. There are 3 ways to correct such an imbalance. People could evolve towards the high-level life space and go to the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world so as to reduce their numbers. People could self-awaken. They need to control the continuous growth of their population, protect and let animals reproduce and develop, and transfer some people forcibly down to the animal level in order to maintain the ecological balance. Those people who are forcibly transformed downward will certainly be treated unjustly, But do not worry for them because the greatest creator will deposit large stocks of wealth in their banks, and when the ecological balance stabilizes, they will be reborn back into the human world with high positions and great wealth as compensation. If the above two solutions do not work, then the third one will come. Pestilence, war, and starvation will eliminate some people so as to relieve the ecological imbalance. Apart from that, there is a special solution, the coming of the last phase of an age, which was warned by Jesus and Sakyamuni. In that situation, every phenomenon in heaven will vibrate, the sun will blacken, the moon will no longer illuminate, and everyone will be scared to death. The emergence of Life Genuine is to enlighten people to avoid the coming of the last phase of the age. Gods and Buddhas are humane and the greatest creator loves humanity. Now, so much about the evolution of life, you will have to figure the rest out for yourself. All scientists, philosophers, thinkers, and statesmen are welcome to join in this discussion and argue whether I am correct. If you do not agree, fine. Just continue to carry on in your old lifestyles. 生命的生死新概念. New understanding on the life and death of life. Redefining. April 3, 2011. Translated by Transin. The issues of life and death with regard to life do not exist. The only issue is that of conversion. So-called life and death are only false appearances which have mistaken the existence and disappearance of the carriers of life for those of life itself. It is a misunderstanding of life to say that it is born or dies. Since people do not understand the whole truth of life and its length, they define it mistakenly by way of their limited vision. Mooring bacteria have no idea of the first and last days of months. Cicadas are unaware of spring and fall. Bacteria that emerge in the morning and die in the evening have no experience of what days are like. Cicadas that are born in spring and die in fall cannot understand the passage of seasons. Butterflies who fly and dance among flowers will never know the existence of winter. Humans cannot see the past or future, so humans always measure the length and depth of life against the more transient life. How do we react to morning bacteria saying that there are no dark nights? What do we think when cicadas say that there is no spring or fall? How do we feel when people tell us that there are no previous or future lives? People often talk about life and death by saying that someone is born or has died. Actually, what they refer to is only the birth, growth, and death of their flesh, the carriers of lives, not their life. Therefore, it is necessary to redefine the life and death of life. A person's downward conversion from the human world to a lower life space is death. A person's horizontal transmigration back to the human world is half death. A person's upward conversion from the human world to a higher life space is life. More specifically, a person is dead if they transmigrate to the plant world, the animal world, hell, the frozen layer, or the inflamed layer. A person is half dead and half alive if they transmigrate back to the human world. A person gains life if they advance toward any of the three levels of heaven, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. It is up to everyone to choose for themselves whether they go to death, half death, or life. Hence, we can see that some people are marching downward, some are lost on the road, and some are proceeding to a more wonderful rebirth. 一切恰好与你相配. Everything just matches you. Redefining. November 8, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. Your current situation is the manifestation of the quality of your life. I have observed the states of life on earth and in heaven and hell, and have found that everything is appropriate, with neither rewards nor punishments, and that what you receive now is what you are pursuing, and is being caused by what you have said and done in the past. Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. The law of causality always works perfectly. Do not ask for anything because it will not be given to you that way. Ultimate Tao cannot be attained by active pursuit. The only feasible way to achieve your wish is to match the quality of your life with the things you aspire to. If you want to go to heaven, then burning incense and kowtowing to worship the Buddha every day, giving master alms of money, real estate, or gifts will not help. Even if you have built many monasteries and preached the scriptures to many people or have gained magical powers through self-cultivation, none of these things will help you to achieve your goal. The only way to do that is to match the quality of your life with life in heaven. When matched, gods and demons cannot block your way. If not matched, the most noble and authoritative people cannot help you. Do not resent anyone because you have brought all of those people who you resent to yourself, and resentment can only make your life more miserable. Do not say that the law of heaven is unjust. It is fair, but it is your own heart that is unjust. What one has created will return to themselves intact. If you create beauty, then beauty will come back to you. If you create ugliness, then ugliness will stick with you. If you have not seen the image of heaven clearly, if you do not understand the life state of the life in hell, and if you do not understand the books without words, then do not preach to others. What you preach is nothing more than the principles of being a human being, and those preaching cannot sublimate and ascend people to heaven, so from the perspective of a higher level of life, you are doing evil. The more you preach, the thicker and stronger the evil barriers that you create will become. The theory of flies is never suitable for bees to obey, and the theory of sheep cannot stop the wolf from eating you no matter how profound and correct your theory is. In the human world, apart from the teachings of Jesus, Shakyamuni, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, Pbuh, and Bodhidharma, no one has ever spoken much truth, so if you think that your own quality, wisdom, and spirituality have surpassed gods, Buddhas, and celestial beings, you can preach as much as you like. If not, closing your mouth is tantamount to accumulating blessings for yourself. Otherwise, the more you preach, the more harm you will do. Do not defend your wrong words and deeds, because the more you defend them, the more unreasonable you will appear. Never imagine that your wrong words and deeds can be hidden. The hidden things are displayed to their fullest in heaven, which God see clearly. The only way you can correct them is to repent, and repent more. Do not expect to get something without paying. If you gain much without paying, please do not be complacent. It is speeding you to hell. If you want to go to heaven without creating beautiful things in this world, I want to tell you that it is your delusion. You should never forget this story. On the afternoon of August 26, 2016, Yang Galen poisoned her 4 young children and then herself. Soon after, her husband followed suit. In light of this story, if you still think that years of stability are good, that my country is amazing, that the 21st century will be the century of the Chinese people, and still think that the Chinese nation will lead the world, then let me tell you that you are continuing to create Yang Galen situations. You are the culprit responsible for what happened to her family. You should think about the helpless and hopelessly poor people in the world every day. If you do not have compassion or mercy and do not want to do something for them, but feel that they deserve what they have and think about yourself all day long, then you are not qualified to enjoy a good life and your soul is not worthy of heaven. I am warning you again, do not pursue magical power, qigong, magical law, or Taoist magical arts. Otherwise, 9 out of 10 of you will be possessed by the devil, lose your balance, and become schizophrenic because magical power and Taoist magic arts will corrupt the program of the world. Let us listen to the teachings of Christ Jesus again. Those who recognize the world find a walking corpse, but those who find the walking corpse transcend the world. 一切依人心而变. Everything changes according to the human heart. Jiefeng. September 16, 2014. Translation edited by Qin Yu. If the earth is a vast desert, the heavens will not bring rain. When the human heart is barren, the heavens will not bestow spiritual gifts. The justice of the Tao lies in its responsiveness to the human heart. What kind of heart we have determines what we receive. Long ago, a wealthy man wanted to start a business to benefit the local people. He went to a village but found the people there indifferent, so he left. He went to another place where the people were difficult to deal with, so he left again. Finally, he arrived at a place where the people were sincere and kind, and he decided to set up his business there. The lives of the people in that area greatly improved because of this business. There was a wise and profound master with extraordinary powers and abilities. He traveled through many villages and towns in search of a disciple to inherit his teachings. He observed the land, the people's appearances, their speech, and looked for signs, but he never found a suitable candidate. Ultimately, his teachings were lost due to the lack of a proper successor. The universe is filled with many wondrous things, hidden within the ordinary. These wondrous things are as easy to grasp as flipping a switch, but they await those who are destined to receive them. These destined people are not predetermined but are chosen at random. However, there is a condition. These people's qualities must match the wondrous things they receive. As I often say, only a life of absolute beauty deserves to enjoy absolute beauty. When I first started life at Chanyuan, my mind was filled with countless wondrous things. However, as life genuine developed, I found these wondrous things gradually disappearing. Sometimes my mind felt empty, devoid of anything valuable. This happened because life genuine repeatedly suffered harm and setbacks. My sadness grew as people not only disregarded my guidance but also questioned, criticized, insulted, and attacked me. My enthusiasm waned, and each time I felt disheartened, I asked myself, why should I reveal these wondrous things to people? Why should I pass on the mysteries of the universe and life to them? I even wondered if I should destroy everything I had already revealed. When I had such thoughts, I felt no regret for myself but pity for people. What is most laughable is that many believe my creation of life genuine is intended to gain power, replace the government, or trouble other religious and political organizations. A notable example is when in Yunnan a police officer candidly told me, "Everything you've started is good and ideal. I don't see any ambition in you, but the problem is, if life genuine continues to develop and grow larger, will it cause trouble for the government? Will it shake society? Can the government not be concerned?" Even more laughable is that many people say Xiefeng's goal is to deceive people for money and sex, and to seek power. It is truly beyond words. What can I do? With such hearts in people, I can only go with the flow, aligning with the thoughts and wishes of the government and the public. Explanations are futile. Human thoughts are one thing, and the realms of gods and celestial beings are another. Human thoughts cannot comprehend the realms of gods and celestial beings, just as a pig's thoughts cannot comprehend the realm of humans. The wisdom drawn from this is that everything changes according to the human heart. When the human heart is restless and chaotic, it gives you a restless and chaotic world. If people want honey, they receive honey. If people want dog dung, they receive dog dung. This makes people happy, and thus the Tao shows its justice. Many people worry about life genuine celestials and say, "Be careful not to be deceived by Xiefeng. He is a great fraudster aiming to deceive people for money and sex. Leave life genuine as soon as possible." Hearing such concerns, I am not angry at all. On the contrary, I calmly observe and am quite supportive of those who worry about life genuine celestials. Sometimes it occurs to me, incite them, stir them up. Let those who do not understand life genuine's values, whose faith and belief are unstable, and who are unworthy of enjoying the benefits prepared by the Tao for higher beings be led away. It's tiring to guide immature crops forward. It's better to let the wise ones who care about Chanyuan celestials take them away and lighten my burden. But then I wonder, are there people in this world who truly are? I am doing this entirely for your good? The wondrous things are around us. Only those who are awakened can see them, and only those with pure hearts can obtain them. Feng Shui changes with the human heart, and the world changes with human hearts. I only hope that people pursue truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity. As long as one persistently seeks, the Tao will surely bestow corresponding good things. 我看到的一切井然有序. Everything I see is in perfect order. Xiefeng. May 12, 2014. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The phenomena are myriad. The world is chaotic, disasters are frequent, and changes are constant. Friends turn against each other, kin harm one another, affections shift, and grudges transform. People rush and struggle, change happens hastily. There are conflicts and competition, hidden traps, separation and disintegration. Old things disappear, new things emerge. Everything appears dazzling and disordered, but to me, everything is in perfect order. Unable to decide, hard to judge what should be done, torn between choices. When facing a situation one's body is not under their control, hastily adapting, acting against one's will, reading others' expressions, weighing pros and cons, human calculations are not as good as the heavens' calculations. A person of integrity, though not actively seeking fortune, the heavens guide them unexpectedly to achieve their heartfelt aspirations. A devious individual, despite craftily avoiding misfortune, the heavens intervene at their cunning moments to seize their soul. If one does not recognize the perfect order in everything, they will spend their life struggling in a sea of worries and turmoil. Life is impermanent. Changes occur too rapidly. Yesterday's bloom fades today, joy hides sorrow, sorrow contains joy. Misfortune, that is where happiness depends. Happiness, that is where misfortune underlies. In danger, misfortunes turn into blessings. In tranquility, thunder rumbles. Spring is just bright, yet dust rises. Peach blossoms bloom, yet autumn's chill is felt. A sudden marriage of 3 months, followed by the rush for divorce. Is it time, fortune, or destiny? Or is it made by heaven, earth, and human choices? A rich person can die of starvation, a high official can be imprisoned. Today's bustling scene turns desolate tomorrow. Broken walls where foxes sleep, deserted platforms where rabbits walk, all were places of singing and dancing in those days. Yellow flowers covered with cold dew, withering grasses looming in mist, all belong to the battlefields of the old times. Once commanding the winds and clouds, later retreating in defeat. Yesterday surrounded by esteemed guests, today left in decline and destitution. The tide rises and falls, flowers bloom and wither. Is human life like a revolving wall panel, constantly flipping up and down? Why do some people live safely and peacefully to the end, while others wander through life and die tragically? Why do some live leisurely and comfortably, while others toil and worry despite their hard work? Why do some with many children end up lonely in old age, while others without children live peacefully in their later years? Why do some with vast knowledge end up committing suicide while others uneducated live a long life? Is it due to genetics or the merits or sins of past lives? Who can guarantee what tomorrow will bring? Is it better to drift with the current or to swim against it? Is it better to follow the teachings of gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and saints, or to act on one's own accord? Which profession to choose out of the 360 trades? Is it better to consider long-term benefits or to solve immediate problems first? Is it better to eat the food given as charity or to earn one's own sustenance? Is it better to continue working for others or to forge one's own path? Is it better to study diligently or to work in the fields from dawn to dusk? Is a turbulent life better or a peaceful one? Is experiencing wind and rain better or resting in a coffin? Can you make the right choice? Is your choice useful? Are you driven by survival pressure? Or do you have a clear understanding and control over everything? The world changes and life is uncertain. To seek permanence, people feel the need for cultivation and practice. Throughout history, there has never been a shortage of practitioners, but what exactly are they practicing and cultivating? What have they achieved in the end? Have their ideals been realized? Have their wishes been fulfilled? Have they attained permanence? Is it self-deception or solid evidence? Is success 3 parts human effort and 7 parts heaven's will? Or 7 parts human effort and 3 parts heaven's will? Or is it 50-50? Is it that human determination can overcome heaven? Or is it that destiny is hard to defy? Is fortune and misfortune created by oneself? Or is the script of the grand stage of life already set, with everyone playing their roles involuntarily? Is reality a projection of self-consciousness? Or is it the arrangement of heaven? The Tao is in operation, everything is in perfect order. The net of heaven is vast and wide, yet nothing escapes it. The cycle of cause and effect is precise to the slightest detail. Every thought, action, smile, and anger plays a role. It is hard to determine what is the best course of action, but no matter how it is interpreted, there is a clear and distinct path to heaven, continually giving and dedicating without seeking to take or possess. How to handle myriad matters. How to make choices when faced with difficulties. The answer is, go with the flow, do not force or contrive. Everything has its predetermined course, and there will always be a day of release from imprisonment. Go with the circumstances. Every day the people and events around you are due to fate. Do your best with the connections, speak clearly, and handle matters thoroughly without leaving regrets. Follow your nature, driven by the Tathagata nature. Listen to the deepest voice of your soul, without weighing pros and cons or pretending. Speak and act naturally. When the opportunity arises, act. When it does not, don't get inflamed but wait patiently. If you ask why I guide like this, the answer, the reason is in the holograph, difficult to describe, beyond human understanding. 人生的轨迹与自由意志, the trajectory and free will of life. Redefining, November 20th, 2015. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. There are many times more stars in the sky than people on Earth. Each star floats along its own orbit around the galaxy, and each orbit is determined and is not its free choice. Life also has its track. Birth, growth, aging, and death is our inescapable course. 1818 properties cannot be self-managed within life's track. If we make a detailed search and analysis, we can see that each detail on life's track is predetermined, including our name, temperament or character, words and actions, who we will encounter, what we will suffer, what diseases we will succumb to at each stage of life, when the end will come, and so on. Here is the question. Since our life trajectory and its details are already predestined, do people have free will or not? And if they do have free will, how then is it manifested? There is no doubt that people have free will. It is precisely this free will that causes the hesitation, trouble, agony, fear, and sadness in life. The universe is one, the universe is holographic, the universe is a big play. Everything that happens in human society is a single episode of the big play of the universe. Everyone is an actor on this big stage of life and performs in strict accordance with a predetermined plot, and is playing their role in this prescribed scenario. The hesitations, troubles, agonies, fears, sadness, and other psychological feelings in life result from the conflicts and contradictions between each person's free will and their role in the play. You are asked to play a mouse, but your free will wants you to play an elephant. You are asked to live in a thatched cottage, but your free will wants you to live in a 5-star hotel. You are asked to cooperate and serve a certain person, but you attempt to make them cooperate and serve you. You are asked to grow vegetables, but you hope to make a spaceship. You are asked to do good or evil, but you choose to do the opposite, and so on. This is the conflict between your role in the play and your free will. Whenever the arrangement of the play is contradicted by free will, hesitation, trouble, agony, anxiety, fear, worry, and sadness will take over. If your free will agrees with the arrangement of the plot, you will feel peace, joy, happiness, and blessings in your heart and feel free. The highest realm of self-refinery and self-improvement requires you to eliminate your self-persistence and to become free from ego. It is only in this way that you can unite with Tao. Then, when you do that, you will attain the spiritual state of an immortal. Here is another question. Since everything is predestined, what is the value and meaning of struggling and making efforts? First, the so-called struggling and making efforts are barely more than nonsense. When a program is determined, the role to be played is determined, and one's so-called struggles and efforts are determined. That is, you will have to struggle and make efforts because a series of things will force you to. It is decided by the non-material structure of your life. Your character and temperament will force or encourage you to struggle and make efforts. This is determined by the self-state. It is not that I want to struggle and make efforts, but my character and the things happening around me and their ramifications prompt me to do so. This is described as, many things are not in charge of our hands in this world. Every person yearns for a better future and to go to heaven. So who can eventually achieve their most beautiful dreams? Also, now that everything is predestined, what is the point of personal yearning? This involves some of the programs of the play of the universe. The play of the universe has destiny and variables. The plot of the play is destiny. Who shall play which characters in the play are variables. If you play well, you can constantly play the role more according to your free will, such as to play in heaven. If you play badly, you will play a role more deviated from your free will, such as to play a demon in hell. Who then will go to heaven? Anyone who can play the role in accordance with the established plot of the play, free from self-persistence and free from ego, will go to heaven. But anyone who has conflicts with the arranged plot, that is, whose self-conscious is too strong and is unwilling to play the role, will end up in hell. We can find such a secret from this. Going to heaven or hell has nothing to do with the role you play, but everything with how well you play it. For instance, from most people's perspective, Adolf Hitler should definitely be in hell, but from the plot of the play of the universe, if he played his part very well, he would be in heaven. No matter what your role is, an emperor or a thief, as long as you play it well, your reward will be to go to heaven. If you do not play it well, you will be doomed to reside in hell. So, how does one know whether they are playing well or not? Here is a very simple validation method. Namely, no matter what role you play, be it one with much pain and suffering or one that enjoys happiness and pleasure, be it a role to ride the whirlwind or one to suffer the commonplace, if you can stay calm, be happy and joyful, free from hesitation, trouble, agony, anxiety, worry, and fear, but with gratitude, then you have played well. Otherwise, you will have failed the role. Those who have mastered the essence of the teachings and instructions of Buddha understand that self-persistence is the biggest obstacle to the Elysium world. Self-persistence is the result of a strong free consciousness. If you do everything according to your own ideas and wishes, if you always believe that yours is a just cause, if you always insist on your own views, if you always know that you are right, then you cannot play the arranged plot of the play very well and you will be miserable and unable to be rewarded with the Tao of heaven. Take things as they are. Associate with others by following your predestined relationships. Acting in accordance with your nature, and taking advantage of opportunities, is the best way to play the role. 如何解脱生死? How to liberate yourself from life and death. Jiefeng. June 17, 2011. Translated by Transin and edited by Kayer. The subtlety of liberating oneself from life and death in the treasury of the true Dharma I is that Buddha Sakyamuni had held a flower in his hand as he smiled in the Lingshan mountain assembly. Only his first disciple, Mahakassapa, understood why and gave a faint smile. Buddha said, I possess the true Dharma I, the marvelous mind of nirvana, the true form of the formless, and the subtle Dharma gate that does not rest on words or letters, but is a special understanding outside of the scriptures. Mahakassapa later explained his understanding directly to Ananda, who gave it to Shanavasa, and all the way to Bodhidharma, the 28th patriarch of Buddhism. When the 27th patriarch Prajnatara gave it along with a robe and begging bowl to Bodhidharma, he said, 60 years after I attain nirvana, I want you to take these 3 things from India to China and carry Buddhism forward to benefit all living people. Bodhidharma took Zen Buddhism to China and was regarded as the first Chinese Zen Buddhist patriarch. He eventually passed them to Haik, the second patriarch, who passed them to Songkhan, the third patriarch, then to Daoxin, the fourth patriarch, and to Hongren, the fifth patriarch. When Master Hongren told about them, he was met with some trouble because he found that the real successor should be the unknown handyman Huaining in the monastery instead of the highly reputed and admirable Professor Master Shenxiu. It would be very unconvincing to all if everything passed directly to Huaining. In a desperate way, he said, the lives and deaths of mortals are matters of huge importance, but you only pursue the land of promise without seeking to be away from the bitter sea of life and death. If you lose your nature, then how can blessings bring you salvation? Both of you write me a stanza. He who understands what the essence of mind is will be given the robe, the insignia of the patriarchate, and the Dharma, the ultimate teaching of the Zen school, and I shall make him the 6th patriarch. With a small trick, he finally gave his treasures to Master Huaining. Master Huaining was the 6th and final patriarch of Zen. The treasury of the true Dharma I and the robe and begging bowl were lost after him. I used to joke that I am the 7th patriarch of Zen, and that I have written on Zen by the 7th patriarch of Zen 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are the most heavily weighted 5 articles of all my writings. Now the question, as instructed in Buddha's treasury of the true Dharma I, this subtle Dharma gate, does not rest on words or letters but is a special message outside of the scriptures, becomes how to transfer from mind to mind. If I were to tell it with words, then I would be rebelling against the teachings of Buddha. So, if not expressing with words, how can we know how to liberate ourselves from the samsara of life and death? To make the best of both worlds, I can only slide over the water. Whether you can be liberated from life and death all depends on your level of practicing Tao, your destiny, and your root of wisdom. There is no life or death in life. The life and death seen by the world is an illusion. It is the evolved deduction of the carrier of life. Life has nothing to do with time, so life has no limitations of time and is beyond all ages. The nature of life is non-material structure. The form rendered by life is decided by its non-material structure. Its non-material structure decides the form rendered by it. Consciousness originates from structure, and in turn controls structure. Human consciousnesses make people, animal consciousnesses make animals, and if you develop your consciousness to that of a celestial being or a Buddha, then you will become a celestial being or a Buddha. Life is a cycle of reincarnations. The death we commonly see is not the death of life itself, but the phenomenon of life transformation. Life travels from one dimension into another, from one world into another, through the gate of life and death. When a life crosses that gate from this field, we see it as death, but from the other field it is life. All dharmas are marked with emptiness. They neither begin nor end, are neither immaculate nor defiled, and neither complete nor deficient. Therefore, in emptiness there are neither forms, feelings, perceptions, impulses, nor consciousness. Neither eyes, ears, noses, tongues, bodies, or minds, neither sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touchables, or any sensations, and so on until we have form. There are no mind consciousness elements, no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on until we have form. There is no decay and death, no extinction of decay and death, no suffering, no origination, no stopping, no path, no cognition, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, it is because of their non-attainmentness that bodhisattvas, through having relied on the perfection of wisdom, dwell without thought coverings. In the absence of thought coverings, they have not been made to tremble, have overcome what can upset, and in the end have attained nirvana, to be free from life and death. When you are liberated from life and death, you can attain nirvana. If you understand the truth above, then you can be liberated from the samsara of life and death. The problem is that as mortals we have fleshy eyes and mortal stalks. As we cannot see higher dimensional space and worlds, we are not fully convinced of the above truths. Then what? It is easy. Follow the guide and verify step by step. What are those things that hinder us from liberating from the samsara of life and death? The answers are greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and suspicion. Greed is the want to always possess more out of self-interest. Anger is to detest, blame, and envy. Ignorance is the belief that you are always right and never wrong. Arrogance is self-importance, pretentiousness, disdain, defiance, and the lack of a gracious, cherishing heart. Suspicion is being full of doubts and not facing the facts. It is hypocritical, false, and self-deceiving. Overcoming greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and suspicion will enable you to understand this truth and will liberate you from the samsara of life and death. The reason is very simple and easy to do, but putting it into real practice is difficult. After being liberated from life and death, one also needs to understand where to go after death. If you are heading to the lower world, then you will be miserable. 人间剧本探秘. Explore the script of life. Jiefeng. March 24, 2017. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Is life dominated by fate? How does fate come into being? Is everything in life prearranged? If it is, then who arranged and directs it, and how can we still have free will? If there is free will, does it conflict with fate? If there is no free will, then does the causality law of you reap what you sow exist, or does it not? Is it true that every word and every act of everyone is prearranged? If so, then are we not biological robots? Is everything accidental or inevitable? Who carries out punishments, rewards, and so on? It is an extremely complex and enormous system, and it is impossible to reveal the whole system clearly. I can only draw a rough outline, and you, the reader, must verify it for yourself. 18 plots cannot be controlled by people in their own lives but have to be resigned to destiny. For example, their own parents cannot be chosen, arranged, or controlled by them. In fact, a lot of things in life cannot be either. Not only are the sizes of our eyes uncontrollable, but we cannot even arrange a single hair by ourselves. In the face of such vast complexities, we have to resign ourselves to destiny. If we cannot change things, then what can we do? Everything in the universe has its trajectory, all of which are run according to a well-arranged overall trajectory, and we are no exception. That is to say, we also have our trajectories. These trajectories determine the directions of people's lives, whether they will be officials or commoners, poor or rich, or male or female, and be subject to fortune or misfortune. Everything and everyone have been determined by their trajectory. Facing our trajectory, we are powerless. Who is writing your life script and arranging your trajectory of life? You are. Who is directing it? It is procedure. Everything in this life is established by the thoughts and actions of your previous life. This is fate. It is impossible to change the fate of your life because it has already been written. All of your efforts in this life only work for your next life. It can be said that your past determines your present, and your present determines your future. Since everything has already been arranged and planned out, and the story and plot of your life has already been set, then how do we reflect on man's subjective initiative? What good are an individual's efforts? If even what we say and do have been determined in advance, then why should we make any efforts? Individual efforts are reflected in one's mind, and how perfect a role they play. Our inner activities are not arranged by our script. Our free will is reflected in our mind and whether our specific role is performed perfectly or not. Such as in a stage play, The script has been arranged by a writer in advance. The director selects performers according to each performer's appearance, character, acting skill, and so on. The performers must act strictly according to the script and plot, and the director's requirement. If done well, the director will be pleased and the actors will receive more pay and have more chances to perform in future plays. If done poorly, the director will not be pleased and their opportunity for future castings will diminish. The quality of their performance depends on them. This is individual effort. Our inner activities are not arranged, nor are they destined. They rely completely on the free will and effort of the individual. It is entirely up to them to decide whether they want to have good or evil thoughts. Our inner activity is our thinking activity. Thinking activity is like a wave that spreads throughout the universe. That is, when the mind moves, its inner activity expands out to the universe and tells the universe what it is doing, and very loudly. Regarding this, we are unable to view or receive it, but gods know it. In other words, everyone's inner activities can be learned instantly by the universe and recorded in the procedure of Tao. The procedure of Tao automatically arranges the future fate and trajectory of everyone's life based on their inner activities. Karma, karma, karma. Then who rewards and punishes and who executes the mechanisms of rewarding and punishing? Rewarding and punishing are determined by the procedure of Tao, but it is only the judge. The executor is neither the procedure of Tao nor the judge, but a factor of the boundless universe. A god or man, a dog, an ant, a storm, or an event. It is like a judge who sentences someone to death but never executes anyone personally. That is always left for a series of other people. The script of this life has been set long ago, but the script of the next life is always changing. People's thoughts and actions in this life identify their future life trajectories. If someone is destined to leave for the Celestial Islands continent, but becomes seized by evil, and does not play their current role well, then their trajectory of life to the Celestial Islands continent will change. Their revised trajectory may devolve toward the 10,000-year world, the 1,000-year world, back to the mortal world, or even to the animal world or to hell, depending on the severity of what they do. As Life Changyuan's guide, I sigh with deep emotion during my directing the scripts of Changyuan celestials. For instance, I planned to have a certain individual eat a fairy peach which had been determined by her trajectory of life. However, she failed to play her role as a Changyuan celestial well in her course. I asked her to clean a toilet, but she failed to clean it thoroughly, so I knew that she was still unable to eat the fairy peach, but only wild peaches. In this way, both her fate and her trajectory of life were changed. It is a strict law that absolutely beautiful things can only be enjoyed by absolutely beautiful lives. If we do not reach an absolutely beautiful state, then absolutely beautiful results will never appear. When we enjoy absolutely beautiful things but our personal quality declines, then those absolutely beautiful things automatically disappear. This is not only the law in the script plot, but also the ever-changing living script. Past scripts are dead, future ones are alive, and living ones are always changing according to everyone's inner activities and how well or poorly they perform. The impartiality of Tao is reflected in Tao gives to every life according to its desires. If you desire blessings in this life, Tao will bestow them upon you, but fewer will remain for your next life. If you want to become a wolf, it will make you one in your next script. If you want to become a celestial being, it will make you one. Tao will surely satisfy you and help you to achieve your goal, whatever you want to be. But it must be understood that the fulfillment of Tao is not executed immediately. It is arranged in the script, it takes a process and it takes time. You cannot expect an airplane to come the moment you ask for it. You need to be patient. It is crucial to remember that as your plane is coming, your needs cannot change. Once there is a change, Tao has to follow your needs. If you want coffee, but then decide that you would prefer tea, Tao will immediately prepare tea for you. If the tea has not yet arrived and you decide that you would prefer Coca-Cola, Tao will prepare Coca-Cola for you right away. When you change again, Tao will change again. In short, it will always satisfy you. Now, here is a core consideration. If you want a luxury car worth $1 million, Tao will check your bank account, your merits and virtues. If they are insufficient and your bank deposits are not enough, then that $1 million limousine will not be offered to you. Even if you need a needle, you have to check your bank deposits. As long as you have enough merits and virtues, enough bank deposits for what you want, Tao will meet your requirements and demands, or help you to achieve your goal. When a person runs out of bank deposits or when their merits and virtues are exhausted and they have no remaining blessings, then they will soon collapse, fail, lose everything, go to prison, or end this life. Therefore, we need to give benefits, accumulate merits and virtues, and cherish good fortune during our lifetimes so that our blessings will last for our entire lives, even into our future lives. The universe is a huge script with countless subscripts within it, and all the small ones serve the huge one. No small script can exceed a larger one. The Milky Way galaxy is a huge script, the solar system is a medium-sized one, Earth is a smaller one, every country is a smaller one still, every organization is a much smaller one, and so on. Strings within quarks within atomic particles within molecules have the smallest scripts. Adding the non-material world, 20 parallel worlds and the 36-dimensional space, it is unimaginable and inexplicable for us to know how complex and how huge the master script is. The above is just a tiny bit of my superficial view based on man's bewilderment for your reference. To know more, you will need to work on statistics, analysis, induction, summing up from a large number of examples of human activities, both ancient and modern, at home and abroad. It will take a lot of effort for you to figure it out. 灵性人生, The Spiritual Life. 解放, January 10, 2006. Translated by Shi Dai and edited by Kayer. Life on Earth can be divided into 3 categories: the mortal life, the wise life, and the spiritual life. Those who live for money, food, status, fame, and friendship are leading mortal lives. A full 80 to 85% of all people endure these types of lives. Those who live to pursue truth, spiritual wealth, honesty, kindness, beauty, love, and creating harmonious societies are leading wise lives. About 5 to 10% of people lead these types of lives. Those who live to revere the greatest creator, comprehend the mysteries of Tao, supreme enlightenment, and the highest state of life are leading spiritual lives. Only about 2 to 5% of people are gifted to lead these types of lives. Spiritual lives are extraordinary lives. This tiny percentage of people who lead spiritual lives have only the greatest creator in their hearts and minds. They never use their own wisdom or cleverness but follow their hearts to live. They have no religions and do not put their hopes on any nations or special leaders. They have established unbreakable relationships with the greatest creator, and though they live on earth, their hearts are already transcending through time and space and traveling toward the kingdom of the greatest creator. They are retiring and unassuming, forgetting their own lives and wholeheartedly walking on the way of the greatest creator. Their hearts are full of peace and light. These people are the seeds of heaven and the essence of humanity. If you want to follow the spiritual path, the best road is to follow Jesus Christ's teachings. All teachings from Jesus Christ are telling people to walk on the way of the greatest creator, which is also the mission and sole purpose of Jesus Christ's coming to earth. Let us listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ in order to live this spiritual life. Jesus answered, I tell you the truth, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and the Spirit. John 3 verse 5. Jesus answered, Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life. John 4 verse 13. Jesus declared, Believe me, woman, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know, for salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for they are the kind of worshippers the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in spirit and in truth. John 4 verses 21 to 24. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6 verses 19 to 21. So do not worry, saying, What shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6 verses 31 to 33. Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Matthew 7:13-14. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons and perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. Therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Matthew 7:21-27. And so I tell you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven. Anyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but anyone who speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either in this age or in the age to come. Matthew 12:31-32. Then some of the Pharisees and teachers of the law said to him, Teacher, we want to see a miraculous sign from you. He answered, A wicked and adulterous generation asks for a miraculous sign, but none will be given it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Matthew 12:38-39. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Matthew 13:44-46. Then Jesus said to the centurion, Go, it will be done just as you believed it would. Matthew 8:13. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. John 24:12-13. Anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. John 10:37-39. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry, and he who believes in me will never be thirsty. But as I told you, you have seen me and still you do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven not to do my will but to do the will of him who sent me. John 6:35-38. Stop grumbling among yourselves, Jesus answered. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they will all be taught by God. Everyone who listens to the Father and learns from him comes to me. John 6:43-45. He went on to say, This is why I told you that no one can come to me unless the Father has enabled him. John 6:65. But what about you? He asked. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied, Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. John 16:15-17. He replied, Because you have so little faith. I tell you the truth, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. He called a little child and had him stand among them, and he said, I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:2-3. Again, I tell you that if 2 of you on earth agree about anything you ask for, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 come together in my name, there am I with them. Matthew 18:19-20. He said to another man, Follow me. But the man replied, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. Jesus said to him, Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Still another said, I will follow you, Lord. But first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. Jesus replied, No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. Luke 9:59-62. Jesus answered, My teaching is not my own. Comes from him who sent me. If anyone chooses to do God's will, he will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. He who speaks on his own does so to gain honor for himself, but he who works for the honor of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There is nothing false about him. John 7 verses 16-18. We shall try our best to enter through the narrow gate and live spiritual lives by following the teachings of Jesus Christ to walk on the way of the greatest Creator. No one's teachings are more comprehensive, profound, and authentic than those of Jesus Christ. Therefore, Jesus is the Christ, the door to eternal life. It is only by entering through this door, and we do not need any other methods to self-improve or self-refine, that we might arrive in the kingdom of the greatest Creator, the Elysium world. 意识结构能量是宇宙三要素. Consciousness, structure, and energy are the three elements of the universe. Redefining. November 18, 2006. Translated by Treasure and edited by Kayer. Look at the boundless world. What is caught by our eyes is material structure. Without structure, there is no material. For the various marvelous spectacle of lives, the differences lie in the differences of structures. Structures decide the forms of lives. We can choose the people who we want in crowds immediately because of their distinct structures. We can easily find a peony among many types of flowers because peony structures are distinctive. We identify everything by identifying their structures. The universe is full of invisible energy which only reveals itself by attaching itself to structures. Therefore, all visible objects that we see are structures combined with energy geometrically. Different structures absorb different energies. The wonder of the pyramids lies in their structures. Successful farmers do not grow the same kind of crops in the same fields every year because the land contains nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and different plants require them in different proportions. It is only by rotating crops constantly that the supplies of the various nutrients of the land will be distributed and utilized properly. Solar cookers and water heaters heat water because of their structures. Trains, trucks, and cars carry different loads because of their different structures. Flies, bees, tigers, leopards, and sheep need different foods because of their different digestive structures.